Now, my next guest has been a fan of Astera Labs for some time now. In fact, she introduced us to this stock a while back. Spirit Leads Investor founder, Chief Investment Officer, Ivana Delevska. Ivana, now, are you happy with what you just heard from the CEO?
Absolutely, Charles. So thanks for having me. We really like Astera Labs here, especially post this pullback. I think many investors don't understand exactly what the company does, which is why you see this more violent volatility and swings. But if you can find good entry points, this is a really good company to own for the long term.
These are some of the things that you talked about being a pure play. I like this part. Several products have 100% market share right now.
That's right, Charles. So the PCIe Express that you mentioned earlier and that the CEO referred to has close to 95% market share. So when you talk about competition with Broadcom and other players, everybody is working on different parts of the value chain. So they're not necessarily competing with each other. So they have a very strong market share in this particular product. And then the Leo and Scorpio, those will be products that will ramp in the second half of this year and more in 2026.
It sounded like he's got a great relationship with his customers, but it sounded like it wasn't a lot of customers. You talk about customer expansion.
That's right. So a lot of these products are brand new things. So they first started with NVIDIA on the PCIe Express retimers, right? And then they're expanding further into other customers. So we think that now their number 2 customers is approaching the size of NVIDIA, and number 3 is not too far behind. So as they expand the customer base, you're going to see a lot more stable earnings rather than what we've seen in
I got to ask you about this. I asked him about this Apple paper I saw over the weekend. It got a lot of traction, right? Essentially boils down to maybe this whole AI thing. At the moment, it's just mostly smoke and mirrors. What do you say about that?
Well, I think it's a very interesting thing, this concept of thinking AI. I think we're very far from the point where AI can think. We're going to have to deploy significantly more GPUs to get to that point. We are at a point where...
Is that AGI or ASI?
Well, it's actually like this would just be the second layer of iterative AI. So it's really like step 1 was generative AI, where like you prompt ChatGPT and it gives you a reply. Now it just does few more iteration, which is what's really used in the agentic AI models. But to get to like where AI can reason, like the AGI or one of those more advanced stages, I think we're at like 10 years,
really?
10 years behind.
So rest comfortably. It may take our job, but it won't, it will still need us around.
Exactly. It really works side by side to humans. And the new things that you're going to see introduced over the next 6 months is really going to be how they're going to help you do better, be better at your job.
I'm going to flash up here. We won't have time to go through all 3, but names that you like. NVIDIA is on the list, but I'm going to ask you about the last 2, particularly Marvell, because it's now I'm starting to see the stock, right? I talked about symbols. This is one I think is starting to catch a lot of people's eyes. Why do you like it?
So we like Marvell a lot because they're a leader in the custom chip design side, and they're partners with Amazon and Microsoft, which are one of the bigger platforms to be partnered with. The stock has really collapsed here as investors have been concerned if there is going to be additional partners that are going to be...
There's some bottom fishing going on recently, the last few sessions.
Absolutely. That's what I feel as well. Some of it is short covering, but some of it is actually people doing the work and coming back to the name. So these are some of our top picks. We disclose all of our holdings on our website.
AMD, 30 seconds. It was an outperformer for a long time. Maybe it got too much hype, pulled back. It feels like maybe it's got some traction again. It's starting to get traction.
Absolutely. So this is we've come back to this name in the first quarter of this year, or the second quarter of this year, I think, as it was bottoming out. I think they're at a point where they're going to be able to regain market share. They've been actually losing share to NVIDIA, believe it or not, even though NVIDIA has such a strong share. But I think they're at a point where they can maybe regain some traction.
Ivana, thank you very much.